Good morning. Gray, rainy, cold here. Cold. Winter's not over. There's snow on the mountain. There's snow back here. Yeah, and you can feel it. Even down here, I can feel the snowballs up there by the telescopes. Well, I have a hankering, an urge to discuss communication devices. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. You know, if you live long enough, you see, at least these days, you see a lot of changes in the ways we communicate. You know, it's amazing how fast. Me at 72, I'm having to keep readjusting. How do people communicate today? You know, that's honestly true. You know, I was born into a world, yes, where we had pencils, pens, typewriters, and telephones. Okay, you might include the mimeograph machine. Okay, made copies of the typewritten stuff. So I had about a bunch of them. But that was pretty much four ways. And the pen and the pencil are basically the same thing. You're pushing it across a sheet of paper. A major improvement over pushing a stick into clay tablets. Cuneiform, right? And pretty much the same thing, except it's a little faster and easier. You got rid of the quill pens, right? From the didn't have to pull them out of a turkey anymore. So for me, you know, the first thing they hand you when I was a boy was a crayon. Yeah, you use that to communicate with. You move on from there to a pencil. Be careful, son. You know, it's dangerous. Don't get it stuck in your skin, which I did. This piece of lead in my chest forever from falling on one in my shirt pocket as a boy. But they move on to a pen, you know. And boy, when I was a kid, we still had fountain pens. Yeah, we still filled them out of a bottle. I remember when the cartridge pens showed up. That was a big deal. Yeah, so many communication devices. As I got into high school, they had typewriters, and we had typing classes. And my mother used electric typewriters. She was had been a stenographer, and you know, used to do the old clackety clackety ding, clackety clack. But then she had electrics before she left the office, and the school had electrics, and I learned on an electric typewriter. I'll admit that later I actually moved backwards because you could get the old time typewriters for nothing. Okay, nobody wanted the mechanical ones anymore, and I just loved the sound. You know, the tick 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 ding, tick 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 ding 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 ding. It was like a rhythm. You know, I'm a musician. It included, you know, just one more sense when I was typing or making communications. It was kind of a drum beat and a cymbal. You know, eventually the internet come about, and you know, the history, it was originally DARPA, man. And this was supposed to be used for scientific communications, and so email then was the typewriter keyboard, really pretty much connected internationally once it had an internet to go over. So email became the way that we communicated. Well, for me, that was a great transition. I did like it. It was a bit painful in the sense that I was quite a letter writer. You know, I spent a lot of time writing, whether it was a typewriter or pen, and sending. Well, that gradually tailed off till nobody except my mother, who is now dead, would ever dare write a letter and put a stamp on it anymore. Ellen still knows some folks near around 90 in Wisconsin that will use an envelope and a stamp and a ballpoint pen, but that's pretty rare. You know, email was good too, because I thought the typewriter keyboard was an excellent invention. The way they had laid it out, and you know how we interface with it and everything, it's really good. It's pretty hard to actually make it much better than it really is. It's sort of like some of the last prop planes the U.S. Air Force ever made. We don't really ever made them any better than that. If you were to make the transition from the typewriter to the internet, email, obviously getting an internet connection, getting a computer, so this transition, for me, making that particular transition was both difficult and easy, as people stopped using snail mail, and then, of course, I have recording equipment. I play music, and tape became completely obsolete. Well, I use it anymore. I've always been somewhat involved in photography, and dark rooms are expensive, and I could never really afford one. But digital photography allows the dark room to sit on my laptop, so on and on. Trading stock, for instance, going to the broker. They didn't use the telephone anymore in the Wall Street Journal printout. Too slow. Everything was online, brokers online. Pretty soon you get rid of the broker, do it yourself, use an agency, period. Okay, so as that happened, I moved forward with the rest of the world. And it was clear to see that this particular change, the revolution in how we did things in communication, was really superior. It was an improvement. It was the only negatives, I guess, that you could say that have come about through all this. Not that it matters for legacy. 5,000 years from now, somebody's digging up our society and going, these people didn't have a written language. Now, why would they say that? Well, because we left nothing but ones and zeros that disappeared once the generators turned off. This is the reason we know so much about ancient Israel. It's the reason we know so much about Egypt, Assyria, and places like that, because we have deciphered their alphabets, and we are actually able, to read the records they left behind. The Greeks. They wrote, and they wrote. Hebrews, they wrote. Man, that guys loved to write stuff. Okay, and records, and so now we understand so much about these cultures because they had a written language that was left. In our case, I don't know what's going to be left. I don't know how much that really matters, but it's going to confuse some people. They had the wheel. They apparently landed on the moon. That was a hoax. All right. But they had no written language? Yeah. So, now we're into another space of time, though, because I still have plain old landline over here as a telephone, Well, with the advent of the smartphones, I'm seeing something that I'm finding it a little bit amazing, but I see a lot of things confusing because I don't really understand the way a lot of people think. But I know the smartphone, for whatever reason, that I still don't get it. It was adopted by the culture. Well, like we needed a fix or something. We just took it and ran with it, loved it, and I haven't liked it. I've said that before. So I still kind of resist. But the thing that's occurring is, for instance, I hardly ever get any telephone calls anymore on my voice phone. People don't want to talk on the phone. They want to use their smartphone and text. Okay, and so what's happening many times, people are, I'm going to text Bill. So they text my phone number. Well, I don't get it because it's a landline. It's for voice, and so they think they're talking to me, but they don't get through. Or some of them will admit, the kid comes over here to work sometimes and he'll call me to find out, and he admits that he doesn't like to talk to me on the phone. He wants to text me, sorry, buddy. It's kind of a cumbersome communication method as far as I'm concerned. Old school. I started with a pencil and a crayon, right? Yeah. And I'll admit, part of it throughout all of school, including college, taught my class when it came to English literature and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's just a thing. And as we moved further and further into the day of some digital communication, and as we're leaving keyboards even, the English language is a lot of the tech stuff I get that comes up on my YouTube channel, because you can text into the YouTube channel. A lot of you, I guess, pull it down on your phones, and I understand if you use spell check that somebody's going to be following you around, but they're following you around anyway. It's abysmal what's happened to the language. I have typos. I have to send things back to people and say, look, I don't know what you're talking about, because there's too many typos. And the statements are too brief to make much sense out of. I'm kind of into comprehension. I like to know. Well, if you're typing on a screen about this big, and you're doing it with two thumbs, now if you have really good eyesight, which I no longer do, and if your fingertip dexterity, your tactile sense is really good, it probably works for you. But man, if there isn't a physical key there, if the key is virtual, my thumbs are numb. Okay, I get numb thumbs. It's ridiculous. The screen's too small for me to see. Typing on a virtual screen, a little bitty thing, is like nuts. I went, wow. And so I have not adopted this thing that everybody else seems to love, because when I first took a look at it, I said, boy, is that dumb. Well, there are repercussions, at every choice you make in life. And so what I've noticed lately, as I said, I get people that they don't even want to call me on the phone. Well, they certainly don't use email anymore. That's for Grandpa. It's actually still a major science tool for communication, and it's very important in communication in business today. All right, so its original purpose still exists, and it has, not that I know of, been replaced for business communication and such. Not when you really need to say something and send some information along. But yeah, so it's funny, but it's true. My life does become much lonelier. Now, one of the reasons I didn't pick up a smartphone is because I don't want to talk to everybody all the time. When I'm out there in the garden working on my broccoli, I don't want to be bothered. And this whole thing kind of started when I was working for other people in California, consulting in landscapes and stuff. Now, I know you can turn the thing off, right? But why have it? Because when I was out working with one person, still very much, I'm dealing with you. That's it. It's a sacred space. I don't want to talk to somebody else. Unless it's a house on fire or something like that, but I don't want to talk to anybody else while I'm talking to you. I guess it's been one of my major problems with this thing, because ever since it came in, I'd be talking to my buddy, we'd carry on it kind of, all of a sudden, my phone go off. Huh? Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, I don't like the appliance for a number of social reasons. I find it physically very uncomfortable. I keep telling people, who really care, who like Ellen, who has one of the things, and could get me one too on the contract. But I'm waiting for the next technological improvement to where the thing becomes actually smart instead of dumb. Yeah, and also then again, they have loaded people load all these apps into it, like the GPS and all this, and I hear people all the time, oh man, I don't know what I do without the GPS, I'd be lost, Sorry, I still orienteer well. Vast majority of everything that phone will do for you, I already programmed my brain to do. I got the wiring for it, and I don't want to see it go away because I stopped using it. I've already almost forgotten how to spell. Yeah, you can unlearn. I have. Used to do all my spelling by myself with my brain, and it got me at Webster's. Well, that's, everything changes. Yeah, everything changes. But it's true. Because everybody seems to want to text, and I don't receive them, I'm gradually it cut off. They think they're texting me, but it doesn't come up over here. Slowly but surely, I never really considered the fact, like when I made the adaptation to the computer and digital video and stuff, that was more of a technological issue, machinery, recording reels as opposed to hard drives and whatever. It wasn't quite the same. This is a little bit different because it seems like everybody wants to use a smartphone to text each other these days. I don't hear from anybody anymore. Yeah, my friends. I don't hear from my relatives. They're all working with, social media and smartphones, I guess, and all that stuff. They're not touching computers, and whatever reason, they refuse to use voice communication is a little bit strange for me, but people don't want to do it. I see it as a greater separation. We call this stuff social media, but I do believe that it's kind of been pushing people apart. It certainly has been shoving me out of... as people gradually create more and more. I don't want to use their voice on a phone anymore. I want to do tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Can't do a lot of communication that way. It pains me, obviously. That's why I get stuck in front of the camera, telling my life story to everybody out there in the world. My heart aches for a decent conversation with another human being. I have a few people drop by. We talk every now and then, so I get a little bit of it. Well, there you go. It's all about communication devices. Hang loose, folks.